Hey guys, in today's video we're going to go over some useful pull-up progressions for beginners looking to get started with the exercise. The pull-up is one of the most robust and useful bodyweight exercises known to man. It's used across many disciplines to help increase upper body pulling strength, including but not limited to calisthenics, gymnastics, street workout, parkour, and many more. Despite its popularity, the pull-up can be incredibly difficult for beginners. So in this video we're going to look at some easier exercises that can help build up the prerequisite strength and technique needed to effectively implement pull-ups into your training. Start with the most fundamental exercises first. Australian pull-ups are a great exercise to start working the pulling muscles in the arm and the back, but they definitely won't hit your lats the same way that an actual pull-up would. To perform an Australian pull-up, all you have to do is find something you can pull on while leaning back with your body straight. At first, you can practically stand upright, grab the bar or your pulling instrument at around shoulder height, lean back, and then use your arms to pull you back to an upright position over and over again. The one thing to note is that your shoulders should be depressed and retracted as you perform these. For all of the progressions we're going to show, we're going to encourage going through the move's entire range of motion, which in the case of Australian pull-ups means that at the beginning or at the bottom of the skill, we're going to make sure that our arms lock out all the way between the reps. And then at the top, we're going to make sure that we pull our chest as close to the bar as we can. For building a general foundation of upper body strength, I would aim for at least 15 reps of a given exercise before increasing difficulty. This is incredibly general advice, so don't feel like you're doing something wrong if you don't stick to that. In any case, once you can do the Australian pull-ups with a mostly upright stance and a slight lean, we can simply lean more to make the move more difficult. Simply walk your feet forward to increase the angle of your lean. As you get better and better, you'll be able to do steeper and steeper Australian pull-ups, and at some point you'll need to find a bar that's lower than the shoulder height when we started at, to make the lean more dramatic. Alternatively, you can also find some way to elevate your feet if that's easier for you. You can continue this process of working out, getting stronger, and then increasing the lean until you hit a completely horizontal Australian pull-up. However, there's no need to stick to just one exercise at a time, especially since it might take you a while to progress once you start getting into the more horizontal angle. The next exercises we're going to highlight can be done in conjunction with the Australian pull-ups, as they'll focus more on your basic grip strength and scapular movement. Dead hangs and scapular depressions are going to introduce you to the starting positions of the pull-up. Before that, let's quickly talk about how to grip the bar. Pull-ups are done with a pronated shoulder width grip, which is to say that your palms will face forwards and away from you. Chin-ups are done with a supinated grip, which just means that your palms would face you. The supinated grip used for chin-ups will probably be easier for you since it engages the bicep more, but for training specificity reasons, I prefer training with pull-up grips. As a beginner, I'd say to just go with whichever one you want, unless you have a specific goal in mind that would benefit from one over the other, like if you want to learn muscle ups or something like that. And at these levels, what you do with your thumb doesn't really matter, so I would just go with whatever feels more comfortable. To perform a dead hang, all you have to do is grip a bar tall enough to let your legs hang, and ta-da, you've performed a dead hang. If you can't find a bar tall enough to let your body hang totally straight, you can simply bend your knees and engage your core. This will only make it marginally harder, and it'll set you up for success for once you're doing pull-ups on that same bar later on. Dead hangs can be performed to help improve your strength and endurance. And obviously to do a whole bunch of pull-ups, you need to be able to hang on the bar with ease. So I'd recommend doing dead hangs until you can at least comfortably hang on the bar for 30 seconds. One thing that I didn't mention is what you should be doing with your shoulders. For the dead hang, you can just leave them totally relaxed. But when doing pull-ups, we want our shoulders to be depressed. And this is where our next exercise, scapular depressions, comes into play. To perform these, start in a dead hang and then use your lower trap muscles to bring your shoulders down and away from your ears. Basically the opposite of shrugging your shoulders. Then slowly lower yourself back down to that relaxed dead hang position. Alternatively, instead of doing reps of scapular depressions going up and down over and over again, you can simply hold at the top into your dead hangs with the scapula depressed the entire time if you don't find it too difficult. From this point, with some basic pulling strength and the ability to hold yourselves up on the bar, our options open up a whole bunch. To introduce yourself to the pull-up motion, one decent choice will be a hip-hinged Australian pull-up. The Australian pull-ups we did earlier are great for building some basic strength, but they don't really do a very good job of mimicking the pull-up motion. To get your nervous system more familiar with the actual pull-up motion, elevate your feet or sit with your legs straight out on the floor and then pull your chin up and over the bar before lowering back down. Having your legs supported on something will take a good portion of the load off from your upper body, but still allow you to more closely mimic the motion you'll be using in subsequent exercises. It's also important to be aware of your neck and head posture when doing these exercises. You'll want to keep your head neutral and avoid tilting your head back to compensate for a lack of strength at the end range of motion. And since I've just realized that I didn't mention it earlier, make sure you're really controlling your body for both the concentric and eccentric portions of these exercises. Don't just relax and let your body drop back down to the starting position. You'll be able to crank out more, but the name of the game is really quality over quantity when it comes to these things. The best calisthenics athletes in the world always place a huge emphasis on maintaining the best technique possible. Moving on, chin hangs are a great isometric exercise to help develop strength near the top of the pull-up, which is a common problem beginners run into. To perform these, grab the bar with your preferred grip and then get your chin over the bar and hold it there using just the pulling strength in your arms and back. To get your head into position, I recommend stepping on some elevated surfaces, but if you can manage it, jumping up into the position can work provided that the bar isn't too high for you. And despite calling them chin hangs, you shouldn't be putting your chin on the bar either. Hopefully I shouldn't have to say that, but you never really know. For chin hangs, a very basic time to aim for would be at least 20 to 25 seconds, but the longer the better, so you should absolutely still use these even if you can manage that time. Once you can manage a decent chin hold, you can confidently try some negatives. Negatives are essentially just the eccentric part of an exercise. Provided you can adequately control them, they're a great way to build strength and technique when doing an exercise for the first time. To do a pull-up negative, just start in the chin hang position and try to lower yourself into the active dead hang position as slowly as you can. At first it can be very difficult to pace yourself, so trying to complete the negative to a certain count can help. Initially I would start with 3 seconds, and as you get stronger you slow the skill further so you can do it in 7 seconds, then 9 seconds, then 10 seconds, etc, etc. Once you have some decent negatives, you can try some banded pull-ups. Obviously the thicker the band, the more it'll help, but just make sure you keep the intensity of your sets high and make sure you're maintaining a tight core and moving through a full range of motion. Assuming you're not using an incredibly powerful band, you should be able to use the banded pull-ups to build up the unassisted pull-ups. Just keep in mind that the band helps the most at the very bottom of the skill, so don't be surprised if you find the initial part of the unassisted pull-ups particularly hard. One fun exercise you can do at the end of your training to add some more volume are slot hang chin-ups. For this one you'll want to grab the bar with an alternating grip and get your legs up and hook your ankles around the bar so that you're hanging on all fours. From here, think about pulling your body up and getting one of your cheeks onto one side of the bar before going down and repeating on the other side. Like I said, this one is nice for adding more volume as it's not all that strenuous, but just consider that it lacks specificity, so it won't transfer quite as nicely into your pull-ups as some of those other exercises. To finish off the video, I'll give you some tips that I think will come in handy. These are in no particular order though. Keep your legs straight and together. Avoid bending the knees or crossing your legs. Train frequently. Volume and consistency is by far the most important factor in improving. Have patience. Be prepared to do the same routine for weeks at a time to consolidate your gains before moving on. The best routine is the one you can stick to. And last but not least, avoid kipping at all costs. It'll only help build bad habits and hold you back for a longer period of time, unless you're doing CrossFit and doing them for time, in which case I'd like to remind you that there is help available. You're not alone, and you can recover from this. Once again, thanks for watching guys. Hopefully this video gives you guys some useful exercises to help you guys get your unassisted pull-ups, and don't forget to like and subscribe.